Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the senior sermon of David Russo.
It's such an honor to me that every one of you has made it here, either from as far away as Chicago or Hamilton or Ottawa. So many people from my home shul, from the synagogue I'm now in Chicago, family who traveled from far away, and all my dear friends who may have come from as close as right down the hall. By the end of this Dvar Torah, I will address why there was a quarter on each or on most of your chairs. But in the meantime, you should know that is not any kind of bribe for coming to the senior sermon today. Standing on the bench and doing glila. At Shabbat Mincha every week, my siblings and I, from an age when we could lift things, would stand on the wooden bench and help the person assigned with glila place all of the accoutrement on the Torah. You win the Cadillac. Whenever someone walked in to make the minyan at Beth Jacob, to be that 10th person, everyone would exclaim, "You win the Cadillac." I never collected all of my Cadillacs. Kol Makadesh. Every Friday night at Shabbat dinner, my family would sing Kol Makadesh, an incredibly long zemer. Our family's version is a massive dirge and is so unsystematic that you simply need to sit through it enough times so that you have memorized it. And that song moves me more than any other zemer that I sing today. These are a panoply of experiences that early in my life instilled in me the feeling that Torah is, on a basic level, enjoyable, and on a deeper level, one that immerses me in a lifestyle that treasures the mitzvot, particularly in the context of family and community. In this week's Parsha, Tazria Metzora, we learn about the power of one particular early childhood ritual, that of the Brit Milah. We read, Uvayom hashmini yimol basar orlato. On the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Our rabbis in the Talmud spend some time wondering, why does the circumcision happen after 8 days? Wouldn't 7, the number used for a week, used for Shabbat, a much more common number in Tanakh, be more appropriate? And our rabbis offer the following midrash in response. Mashal lamelech shenichnas lamedina, a parable to a monarch who enters a country. V'gazar ve'amar, he decrees and says, Kol achsanin sheyesh kan, any of the guests, any of the visitors who come to this place, lo yiru panai ad shiru pnei hamatrona tchila. They cannot see my face until they have seen the face of my lady first. Kach amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Similarly, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, said, Lo taviu lefanai korban. Don't bring a sacrifice before me, ad shetavor alav haShabbat, until Shabbat has passed first. She'ein shiva yamin below Shabbat, for there are no 7 days without Shabbat. Ve'ein milah below Shabbat, and there's no circumcision without Shabbat either. In this brief drasha, I cannot address the complex comparison of a baby boy to a sacrifice, nor can I address the fact that this ritual is only directed at boys, though I think that it is a nice way to connect male and female birth rituals to strive to name both baby boys and baby girls on the 8th day, but we'll save that for another time. But what this midrash does tell us is that we wait more than 1 week to perform the circumcision in order for the baby to experience Shabbat first. Before the baby experiences the milah, the mark that will literally last a lifetime, the baby needs to first be embraced in the warmth of Shabbat. The child's first Jewish experience is not through the pain of circumcision, but rather, according to the midrash, God wants the child to meet Shabbat first, a day full of holiness and rest, of love and intimacy. And only after that Shabbat experience can the child then enter into the covenant of the Jewish people through circumcision. In an eloquent essay, Professor Chaim Nachman Bialik writes about how Shabbat is surely a halachic concept. He speaks about how we must be aware of the minutiae of the 39 malachot, about eruvin and where it is possible to carry, about the types of candles and more. But he emphasizes that Shabbat is not simply about this minute legal specifics. He emphasizes that Shabbat is celebrated by the Jewish people in volumes of works as a day of rest and joy, of pleasure and delight. This infant child, still not even a part of the covenant and wholly unaware of any concepts of malacha or shavut or eruvin, is meant to experience this day of rest and joy, pleasure and delight. As I enter my 9th month working at Anshe Emet Synagogue in Chicago, I have thought about placing both the metaphorical and literal Shabbat before the metaphorical and literal circumcision. At Anshe Emet, we strive to place Shabbat, the ultimate expression of warmth and intimacy, community and spirituality, before deep commitments like annual dues. We recently began a little something that we call Shabbat is Awesome, when on one Shabbat a month, we invite the entire community to celebrate Shabbat in the shul, in the bounds of the shul, playing basketball and board games, penultimate frisbee and ultimate napping, spelling bees, and scavenger hunts. This is one of a few examples of how we strive to provide people with welcoming and meaningful Jewish experiences that will last a lifetime. Our shul is not simply about davening, or ultimate frisbee for that matter, or kiddush. It is about the power of community, of people coming together and celebrating mitzvot like Shabbat. And when people seek to offer two of life's most precious commodities, time and money, this commitment will be a natural decision as it reflects their desire to be in a place that values community, intimacy, and a connection to Torah. Carrying the pushka. As a child, whenever I went to Beth Jacobs Synagogue's weekday minyan in Hamilton, Ontario, my siblings and I were always tasked with the job of carrying the pushka to collect tzedakah from every person in shul. And my Ima Rabbi would always give me and my siblings a quarter to place in that pushka, as you all have the opportunity to do today. Though neither of my parents are rabbis or cantors or formal Jewish educators, they are the people who inculcated in me the culture of Torah. My parents taught me, served as examples for me, sang with me, and gave me tools, spending anywhere from a quarter to many thousands of dollars to help me learn about our sacred Masorah, our sacred tradition. And this is the task before every one of us today. Dr. Richard Kalman, our esteemed professor of Talmud, writes in an essay about a key salient difference between Palestinian and Babylonian rabbis in the ancient world. He writes, the social and physical boundaries separating Palestinian rabbis from the rest of Jewish society are substantially less imposing than those separating Babylonian rabbis and non-rabbis. Talmudic sources portray Palestinian rabbis as referring to non-rabbis as my son and my daughter, fostering or presupposing a sense of intimacy between them. They would enter the homes of non-rabbis to teach them Torah, and they would permit non-rabbis to invade their personal and institutional space by conversing with them, touching them, or inviting them to dinner. Babylonian rabbis, in contrast, Dr. Kalman points out, that rabbis would keep non-rabbis at an arm's length by discouraging emotional ties between them, and they would tend to be intolerant of violations to their personal and institutional space. Dr. Kalman identifies that our sages of blessed memory in the Talmud Yerushalmi were the ones who took extra care to develop a sense of intimacy, seeking to become incredibly close with the members of their communities. And yet I sometimes struggle with this, because there are so many synagogue programs, so many members of our community, that it is often hard for me and for the leadership of our shul to always be welcoming to every person. How can we balance the vast number of people connected to our synagogues and the litany of programs that we facilitate while simultaneously feel like a small, Hamish shtibel? I have not come up with one answer, but through Shabbat is Awesome festivities, through B'nai Mitzvah tutoring that deeply cares for every bar and bat mitzvah student, through classes that allow for intimate small conversations, through tefillot that are exciting and meet various people's davening needs, I find myself in a community that is reminiscent of my childhood, a community that seeks to pray with passion, care with constancy, and observe the mitzvot with a sense of joy. The quotation that we traditionally recite to complete a section of Torah study speaks about how God gave us Torah and mitzvot in order to allow us to feel meritorious, for us to feel great joy. When I think about why I am here today, it is entirely because my parents and community taught me how to daven with passion, to sing with feeling, to learn with devotion, and to care for others with love. It is my hope and prayer that every one of us can instill these feelings and more in our families, in our friends, in our communities, so that we experience Torah with love, and from there move on to deeper and deeper commitment by spreading Torah throughout our world. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia teaches us, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael. The Holy Blessed One wanted us to feel meritorious. Lefichach hirba lahem Torah u'mitzvot. And because of that, God gave us an abundance of Torah and mitzvot. Shene'amar Adonai chafetz leman tzidko yagdil Torah v'yadir. As it is written, God through righteousness seeks to increase Torah and glorify it.